Hello and welcome to the final episode of Season 2 of Tower Duo. So, as usual, I'm Andrew, and with me today is Connor. And so, just like we did for Season 1, we are ending off our season with a top 10. So, today's topic is the top 10 human characters in Pokemon. So, of course, at the end of Season 1, we did top 10 Pokemon. And before we get started with that, we do have a few announcements about the future of Tower Duo.
Yeah. So I guess I can go through those. So basically, we're going to be taking a break from making big main Tower Duo episodes. Basically, we're not going to be doing season 3 until about after Christmas time, basically the next semester of school, whenever that starts up. But while we're there, we're not just going to be just totally ghosting you guys. We're still going to be putting out Tower solos and Tower decks videos. Well, I think we've done one Tower solo so far, and Tower decks might be coming out soon. I don't know. Kind of depends on how much time I have in the future. But yeah, so just keep an eye out for those. But anyway, the season 3 videos are going to be a lot shorter than what you've seen in the past. They're going to be about a half hour long compared to the hour of content that you're usually getting. But it's also going to be a lot more specific. We're not just going to be like, oh yeah, like rivals in general. Like, let's just talk about those. No, it's going to be very condensed topics. More, it's going to be things that we need to research a little more and things that you might not know.
Yeah, I would say that overall the goals are to have episodes that are more analytical while also being more objective. So we're going to have more obscure information, more specific information, but we're also going to be sharing more of our own thoughts that are going to be more complex than just, do you like this character?
Yep. And so that aside, I think we can now talk about the characters that we like and subjective things.
Yes, so I think we'll be starting with my number 10, which is Nurse Joy. So there's not a specific one that I like more than any of the others. They're all pretty much the same, but essentially what we have is a group of characters who are all just there for a Pokemon, ready to work at any time of day or night, and they're extremely consistent, and they're also seen as like a marker of progress. So it's essentially the case that like you've made it through whatever part of the story, through whatever area in a region when you make it to the Pokemon Center, because that's what you can fly back to when you get Fly. You know, that's what you can teleport to when you get Teleport, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, the Pokemon Center is like kind of the main part of the town because it's like that's kind of the place that you're always going to. It's your order of operations in a sense. And yeah, I'm kind of surprised that was like your first pick being Nurse Joy. It's like, I don't know, she obviously like the whole point of Nurse Joy is to not have a personality. But I think it's a pretty cool pick and something that most people wouldn't really think of.
Yeah, I think that it is definitely important to think about how all these characters that aren't necessarily like big parts of the story. I mean, if you think about it, even most gym leaders, like, you just battle them, and they have their like before text and their losing text.
Yeah,
but other than that, and that's pretty much what we have to go off of them. And Nurse Joy's only text is the healing text, so
Yeah, I mean, basically, there's not much else that she says as far as I know.
Yeah. She says more than red.
I guess so. All right, well, my number 10 pick is going to be hailing from the Galar region, and that is Bede. And so I'm a Bede fan. I know there's a lot of people who aren't much of a fan of Bede, but the thing with Bede that I really like is kind of, I don't know. I sort of see a lot of, I guess, blue in him, where he's all cocky and stuff, but he doesn't really have that time where he just gets to like lay back and just, you know, develop into a better person. Like, he still stays the cocky person that he's always been, and I feel like that's kind of cool. Just having a static character that doesn't really change all that much, but has a lot of things happen to him. Like, you know, he starts off being like, oh yeah, Chairman Rose endorsed me, that means I'm obviously the best and no one can beat me. And he kind of just plays that out, and he does lose to you every time that you fight him, but he actually manages to beat Hop, which I think is a pretty notable accomplishment in and of itself. And not to mention, I think his battle theme is probably the best one in Galar. Might be wrong though. I haven't listened to this soundtrack in a while.
Yeah, I think that it's very good when a franchise has some dynamic characters and some static characters, because you need to have those people who are just going to stand by their ideals and and defend them instead of being open to change, because in the real world not everybody is very open to change, and so it's definitely something that is realistic to have. And what I think is good there is that even though his personality doesn't really change, who he is changes, because he goes from being, just on the gym challenge to being a gym leader. And
Yeah.
that's, of course, it is a little bit questionable how he gets this position, but he does manage to do it. And that's something that's interesting that he goes through.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's kind of another reason that I think he's a cool character. Like, he sort of finds himself in a very different position that he was in at the very beginning of the game, and it's not like because of the thing, like, it's not because of his values or anything. Those are exactly the same, but he's a different character at the end of the game, despite the fact that he still has the same views about everything.
That's true, and I would also say that I really like how they gave him a party that worked with the shift in from psychic to fairy types that he had.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
yeah, no, that
definitely
is really
can
cool.
understand where that pick came from.
Mhm.
So now let's move on to my number 9. So I know that this is somebody from Generation 7, so you don't really necessarily know who it is. It
Yeah,
is
probably not.
Ilima, the first trial captain. And towards the bottom of my list, I was sort of just like going through characters that I generally liked and had to look up a lot of like Bulbapedia articles and such. And I found out that Ilima went through the trainer school and is apparently very highly academically accomplished in terms of being an intelligent Pokemon trainer. So maybe not the highest in terms of like objective Pokemon battling abilities, but at least he has like the certification as having a high level of battling prowess.
Yeah, I got you. So he probably doesn't have like the strongest Pokemon, but the ones that he does have, he knows how to use really well.
Yes, I would say that is definitely what he has going for him. And
Okay.
I think it's difficult to judge like early gym leaders, or in this case early trial captains, because they're usually using fairly basic types. Of course, like Ilima uses normal types, and
Mhm.
and of course they're at pretty low levels where if you pitted them against the average trainer throughout the whole game, they would lose to the vast majority just on the basis of level.
Yeah.
So it can be difficult to judge their battle skills based on that. And it also seems that there's a trend for the gym leaders and trial captains that you battle earlier in the games to
Yeah.
be more often on the younger side, on the less experienced side, which makes sense from a game story perspective, but doesn't make sense from the perspective of like how the Pokemon League would actually be run in terms.
Really?
Yeah, because if you think about it, um, like when Brock battled Ash in the one, or maybe it's Red in the one like non-canon anime, and he like chooses to only use two Pokemon because
Yeah.
of the lack of badges. Um, that's that's pretty well established as canon in the game,
Yeah.
but because of just programming limitations, they can't make 8 teams for all 8 gym leaders.
Yeah.
So
Well, at least in that game,
they can't.
They probably could.
That's
now.
true. They might be able to do that now. I mean, they can definitely give at least 3 teams.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Man, now
So,
I'm just thinking of game development ideas.
Yep.
I feel like we kind of got off task here.
Yeah. We did a little.
All right, well, I mean, I don't know.
So who's your number 9? If we want to move along.
So my number 9 pick is going to be Clay from Driftvale City. So I guess keeping up with the theme of gym leaders and trial captains, I think Clay is a pretty cool guy because he's sort of like a figure that you don't really see much in the Pokemon world. Like the one parallel that I can see with Clay is probably Watson from Ruby and Sapphire, because they're both kind of large and in charge when it comes to their city. Like they're doing big development, they're really moving things ahead. But I think Clay did just a tremendous job for like all the people of Driftvale. Like basically he started off with this really small city, nothing in particular, but he became the gym leader and he kind of took a role of like a mayor and built it up from the ground, and it turned into something crazy. All these new people coming in, all the city just growing bigger and bigger. I know you might have watched the cities episode where we talked about where we'd want to live, and I picked Driftvale as the city that I'd want to live in, just because Clay is making it just this giant place, even making the PWT building where trainers from all around the world just fly all the way down to Driftvale City to compete.
Yeah, so recently I've been doing a Samurott solo of White 2, and I've gotten the 4th through 7th gym badges in rapid succession. And it has been interesting to see the differences in Driftvale from the original Black and White 1, and the amount of change that happened in such a short period of time, where it's like the opposite of Cinnabar, where all that was left is the Pokemon Center.
where it totally got destroyed.
Yep. Where here we have a place that's been like completely built up in 2 years. I would actually compare it to like Dubai or something, because it's not exactly the most fertile land that has ever existed, and it has also grown very quickly.
Yeah.
So I would say that it's good that he's been able to accomplish that, although I would say that on my list there are more characters that I would classify as like conventionally well-mannered, and I would not necessarily put Clay into that category.
I gotcha. Yeah, I guess
I don't think this is a surprise.
I don't know. The characters that I kind of like and appreciate in the Pokemon world are maybe not even ones with like, the coolest personality, like, and that sort of thing. I kind of like just good character development. And I know I picked Bede, but like Bede's kind of the exception, I guess you could say. But I don't know. I like good character development, just really strong personalities where it's like, oh yeah, like that's Bede's personality, that's Clay's personality. Like they really make a big difference in what the story is, and that sort of thing. All right, but anyway, I think we're up to number 8 now, right?
Yes, we are. So my number 8 is someone from all the way back in Johto, and it's Is it the only? It is Karen of the later on Indigo Elite Four.
Oh wow, Karen.
And I think that what drove me to put her on my list was that she is responsible for the quote that and I don't want to misquote it, so I'm just gonna say it's that it is important to train your favorite Pokemon instead of just looking for like the objectively best Pokemon. And I don't remember the exact quote at the moment, but that
yeah,
is besides
I
the
think
point.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, she's like, it's not the power. It's not power that's what important. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a good
Yes.
trainer is able to win by using their favorites. It was
Yes.
something like
And what I think is really interesting, you know, because the Johto games are another set where there's a time gap from the previous games, and there are a lot of changes that happen very quickly. And what I think is interesting is that Karen went from a nobody. You know, we don't even see her in Kanto, to my knowledge, and then
Yeah.
she's already worked her way up to Elite Four in that very short amount of time. You know, we have characters like Koga who go from like gym leader to Elite Four, and that's like a reasonable career development. But from going from like completely nothing to Elite Four in, I think it's 2 years. It might be 3 years, somewhere around in there.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure what the gap in time is.
It's less than 5 years. I'm pretty sure. I'm reasonably confident in less than 5 years. To accomplish that in that amount of time, I would say is significant. So, what was your number 8 pick?
Okay, yeah, my number 8 is going to be another one from ye olde Unova region, and that's going to be N. And so I just want to preface N saying I did not play Black and White 1. If I did, he would probably be higher on the list, since I definitely hear he has some pretty strong character development in those games. But just what I've seen of him in Black and White 2, and just what I know of him, is that he has some very, very strong beliefs. He knows what he believes in, and he wants to make it into a reality. And so he's willing to do, you know, so many things to accomplish that goal. And but kind of he's taken advantage of by Team Plasma, and they make him think that he is going to make the change that he wants to see in the world. But as it turns out, it just turns into a disaster, and he's actually making the world a worse place than he thought it was before. And so that's not really something that I think you really see in the Pokemon universe, at least not something that I can think of. Just to be totally just misguided. Like, I think it's such a very strong form of character, I guess you could say, and it really caught me off guard when I heard about it, basically, because that doesn't really happen to him in Black and White too.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely one of the most complex characters, and I have a lot to say about him later.
Oh, later.
So
Oh man. Okay.
So that is something that I will be talking about, but I feel like we're going both really fast and really slow, because it seems like my recording timer, we're at 25 minutes. Of course, the first 5 minutes of that was before we had actually started, but we're also already at number 7. I feel like each entry is not taking that long, but I also feel like we're not going very fast. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Time flies.
Yep. So well, anyhow, my 7th place is Blaine, and this is where we really start to get into the theme, for me at least, of characters who substantially advanced the understanding of Pokemon. So
yeah.
whether that be from a connection to Pokemon, whether that comes from research, it's always something like this. So Blaine, of course, he's a gym leader, yes, but that isn't really special. There's dozens of gym leaders, and what he has done is he was instrumental in helping to create Mewtwo, and that's something that I find very interesting because there are not a lot of instances of human-made Pokemon. Mewtwo is one of a very small group in that regard,
Yeah.
and Blaine was able to do that. Wasn't quite qualified to be regional professor. Unfortunately, he's not named after a tree.
Oh yeah.
So
Man, I always forget about that.
so it was yeah, so he wasn't able to do that, but he was able to put forth a lot of effort in that area, and I know there are some versions of events where that's because he's in Team Rocket, but I don't know whether those versions of events are canon, so I don't know whether I should be commenting on that. So, what are your
Okay,
what are
wait.
your
I
opinions on
just
him?
thought of something.
Yeah.
Professor Rowan. That's not the name of a tree. Like Rowan from Sinnoh.
Hmm.
Here, wait. I gotta look this up now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna look up Rowan tree.
I also looked it up.
No way,
Rowan
it is a
plant.
tree. That's so crazy. Okay, never mind. I retract my point. Wait, Sonia? Sonia's a professor at the end of Sword and Shield. No way there's a Sonia tree, right?
The first thing on Google, there is no such thing as a Sonia tree on Reddit.
Nice. All right. Gotcha. Take that, science.
So maybe that is something that's done, or maybe in order to be the professor at the beginning of the story, you have to be named after a tree. I don't know.
Maybe. Man, I can't believe there's a Rowan tree. That's so weird. All right. Well, is that everything that you had to say about Blaine?
Yeah. So what's your number 7?
Yeah. So my number 7 is going to be another gym leader, and then it's going to be Volkner. So I think Volkner is a very well-written gym leader because he kind of has a very relatable sort of mentality. And so he's the last gym leader in the Sinnoh region. He's known to be the strongest of all of them. And basically, he finds himself wanting to have a greater challenge. So all the challengers that go up to face him can't really give him a very good match because I don't know, they're just not strong enough to even give him a sort of fight. And so basically what he ends up wanting to do is saying, hey, I don't want to just be a gym leader anymore. Like, I'm a lot better than this. I can do more than this. And so he kind of tells his friend Flint, who is a member of the Elite Four, this. And Flint is like, oh gosh, no, this power struggle can't be happening. I don't want anyone challenging me for my seat in the Elite Four. And so what Flint does is he lets you, the player, know, like, hey, you got to give this guy a good battle so that he's going to be satisfied and want to still be a gym leader. And so you actually go out to meet him in a lighthouse where he's looking through a set of binoculars. And those set of binoculars are actually pointed right at the, the Pokemon Link. And so he's setting his sights on that, which is basically letting you know, like, hey, if you lose this fight, like, that's it. And so you actually go up and to fight him, and he's like, yeah, if you don't give me a challenge, I'm going to challenge the Pokemon League. And then you beat him, and everything's okay, and Flint gets to keep his little safe position in the Elite Four, at least for now. But yeah, I think Volkner is just kind of puts in a dynamic that you don't really see anywhere else. Like, he's in the gym leader position, but he's not satisfied with it because it's just no fun. He's too strong. And not to mention, I think he has a really cool design.
Yeah, I think that it was definitely the right time to use that sort of mechanic of like the gym leader who is like up in the tower, looking at something. Um,
Yeah.
I, I think we had that with Jasmine back in Johto,
Oh
and
yeah.
then
Huh.
I that might actually be the only other time now that I think about it. But
Yeah.
generally, the idea that some sort of character is in some sort of building or tower or something where they're looking at something,
Mhm.
and it's definitely an interesting thing that they're able to do. Um, it,
Yeah.
it's it's always interesting whenever you see a gym leader and they're not in their gym because that's where you see them most of the time.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, no, like I kind of like that sort of interaction. Like it
yep.
is kind of tedious having to like go over and like find them, but it does
Mm-hmm.
give you a little more insight than just like, oh, meeting dialogue. Oh, you
Yep.
beat me. Just
Yep.
defeat dialogue, like you were talking about
Right.
earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course that leads very well into my number 6 spot, which is chairman, another gym leader, but of course someone who before being gym leader was a rival. And
Hmm.
I think that Pokemon Pokemon games have this sort of sense of the hero's journey is supposed to be your journey, but of course, like in an alternate universe somewhere, it's your rival's journey too, and you know,
Yeah. No, I guess
so
you're
you'll
right.
always become the champion, but maybe your rival is good enough to, if not do that, they may be good enough to become a gym leader, and that's something that of course happens in Unova, and I think that maybe there's, sort of this thing about normal types in Unova because Sharon is not the only normal type gym leader there. There's
Yeah.
also Lenora, but
Yeah, but I think Lenora's not a gym leader in Black and White too.
yes, not by that point. They
Yeah.
have yet to make of the two gym leaders that use the same type in the same region. Actually, do they have to do that like at the same time, like in the same?
Wait. Like two gym leaders using the same type in the same game?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, they would
I
never do that.
yeah.
It would
Um,
be really weird if they did.
yeah, because I was thinking through like other Unova stuff, and I thought about Marlin, and I realized that that because Charon is now the first gym leader that 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 also doesn't work. So that was the only other time that I was thinking of. Um,
Yeah.
but that's besides the point. It is stupid, and I hope they never do it. But with the pattern that they've been doing, I wouldn't put them past them. I
Yeah. Just
I
like
I would
that I
believe
can
it if they did it, even though as much as I don't want it to happen.
all of the
But
gym leaders are rock type.
um, but but back to Jaren, I think that it goes on this really good character development thing, and I think what's interesting is that a lot of it is implied because he's going
Yeah.
on this journey while you're on the same journey, so you aren't you're running into him for rival battles, and then you stop running into him because you don't play through that gap in time, right, in between Black and White 1 and 2.
Yeah.
um, so it's interesting to see that like off-screen character development
Mhm.
going on.
Yeah, no. And something really interesting about him is just how he shifts. Like just like this the shift. So like, at first he's just a friendly rival and everything. But then he goes straight from that to just being a mentor. Like, and it's not to you, it's not to the same person in Black and White 1, but it's to someone else. And so I think it's really cool just to see that evolution.
Yeah, I think that that's definitely another good quality of his is that he figured out what he was good at, he figured out what he wanted to do, and he went and did it.
Yeah.
So, what is your sixth.
Yep. All right. So my 6 is going to be, I think, another one from the Sinnoh region, but for once it's not a gym leader. Instead, it's the champion. It's Cynthia. I think Cynthia is a really strong and well-written character. Basically, I feel like Cynthia has got to be somewhere on everyone's, top 10 favorite Pokemon characters list. I'm wondering if if she's gonna be on yours. But yeah, I really think Cynthia's a really strong character. I really like when they introduce a champion to you before you meet them, but it's not really explicitly stated, so it's still kind of a surprise.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah.
But it's not a surprise as soon as all the other games, and and such.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you like when I was new to the franchise, if I had just played the generations out of order, which I have played generations out of order, but I also watch a ton of things, and you can't exactly live in a bubble where anything after whatever generation hasn't happened yet, because it hasn't. People are not going to give spoiler warnings for things in Generation 4. Now they're getting remade.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You're not allowed to know.
That ship has sailed multiple times and sunk and things have been recovered from it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. I think Cynthia is if you're not spoiled on her, and even if you are spoiled on her, I just think that she's I guess I'm spoiling you on her right now. So now
yeah, there you go.
Cynthia's the champion.
Yeah, if you made it all the way to the end of season 2 of a YouTube show about Pokemon and didn't know that, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Because I'm sure that's
you are
difficult
the
in
only
and of
person
itself.
in the entire world who will ever do that.
That is true.
But yeah, I guess I just like how she's just established, hey, she's a historian. She knows a lot about the history of Pokemon and everything. You kind of help out her grandma's village later on in the story. And then she kind of just falls out of the picture for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then, she's the champion after all. I don't know. I think it's just a really good game development choice, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do sometimes. It's if there's ever a character who's kind of important for the first up to the 5th gym or around there ish, and then they disappear. They might not disappear forever. Sometimes they don't come back until the post game, but sometimes they're the champion. And
you're right.
So whenever we have new games, I guess that's a thing to speculate about. But whenever these games are older, maybe not so much. In my 5th place, we have yet another gym leader.
Oh my gosh!
Why,
another one.
Why do
I tried to break it.
You did break it, but
yeah. Okay. I guess
gym leaders are just sort of the essence of Pokemon. So I guess that's why there's so many. Also, I guess
there's 8 of them every game.
That's true. Statistically, they're out of the named significant characters, most of them are gym leaders, just based on the fact that there are 8 of them. So this is another character that is from a region that you have not played. So I'm a little bit sorry about that. And that is Valerie from Generation 6. And again, sort of the same reasoning that you used earlier about a place that I would want to live in Pokemon. I believe I either said or considered Lavere, because it's this peaceful suburb that is one route away from the biggest city in the region, and that was something cool that I thought about the place, but more about the character. Once again, we have a character who is very interested in pursuing an understanding of human Pokemon connection, and she actually has become so connected to her Pokemon that she can actually talk to the fairy types that she uses, and I don't know that there are many other characters that have that ability.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. You do see that a lot in the anime.
yeah,
Like people
in the
being able
anime, it's a little different.
yeah.
Because Pokemon are actually able to say their names, and there's this whole debate about whether they're saying their names because they only know their names, or whether that's their name because it's all they can say. But that's an anime debate because in the games the Pokemon cries are just a jumbled mess of sounds
Yeah.
because they're carrying over that legacy from back in the Game Boy days.
hmm
And
Yeah, unless you're privileged and you
yeah,
get the
unless you get
Pikachu
to be
EV2.
Pikachu.
Yep.
And so that's interesting. So I think that like for that talent, that I don't think anyone else has, she gets to be in the middle of my list.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fair enough. All right. Well, for my list, I'm still staying off gym leaders with another champion. I think is slightly better, like character wise, than Cynthia, and I think Leon from Galar is a really strong character. And so I know there's a lot of people who don't like Leon very much, but just hear me out, okay? So I like Leon a lot. Uh, Not because, well, okay. I should probably get my thoughts together first. I think
Yeah, that'd be
Leon's
a
a
good
good
idea.
character because he's very well established at the beginning to be the guy to beat. Like at the beginning of the game, it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh man, like Leon has never lost to a single person. Never once, never in his entire life. He's so good. He's so impressive. Everyone loves Leon because he's just the undefeatable champion.
He's clearly doing a Nuzlocke.
He's clearly, yeah, I know, and he's kept his starter the whole time, believe it
Yep.
or not. He's still got
Yeah.
his little Charmander
Mm-hmm.
grown up now. But yeah, like I think Leon is such like for that reason alone, like you don't really see that very much with other champions. Like I said with Cynthia, they kind of keep it they make it a surprise that she's the champion. And I think that's a good thing to do. But I think what they did with Leon is just a little bit better. They established him as
Hmm.
just the guy to beat straight out of the gate. So it's like, man, I can't wait to beat this guy. Be the first guy to mess Leon up,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll be the champion. And maybe I would have never lost too. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that that's an element of realism because it's sort of like most other things, like individual sports, where if you even get just a little bit into that sport, like you know who the world champion is,
Yeah.
you know who
Yeah,
the
no,
best of the
exactly.
best is, and seeing as they took it more like a sport than any other region, I think that makes a lot of sense.
hmm
Um, you know, with the way that gyms look on the inside, in that game,
Yeah, no, for
and
sure.
and that sort of thing.
hmm
Um, I I do think that he is a bit too pompous and arrogant, and that's the reason that a lot of other well-known characters like Blue aren't on my list. Spoiler
Okay.
alert, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
but and also I did want to say that I'm done with gym leaders.
Oh
I
man,
have no more gym leaders on my
congratulations.
list.
I don't know. For me, it's debatable whether or not I have more gym leaders on my list. It's up to you to
Yep.
decide.
Okay.
Um, yeah. All right. All right. What's your number 4?
Yeah, so moving up to number 4, we have a character that you can't even battle until after you've not only beaten the champion, but also beaten several. We're just going to say several because we're not sure if it's 49 or
No.
50 or even 48 trainers who have also potentially beaten the champion. We've
Wait.
talked about this before about
There's
whether
no way you're
everyone in the
talking
battle
about.
champion about whether everyone in the battle towers is an ex champion. But I'm talking about Annabelle in my number 4,
Oh, okay.
And the reason she's so high up on this list is because she's gone from being a top trainer in one region to then, after quitting out of necessity, because she apparently fell through an ultra wormhole, goes on to be part of the international police in a completely other region, and that whole time remains an incredibly strong trainer. And I think that just her ability to have that level of capability at multiple things, and she was fairly high up in the international police, and the ability to do that, I think she has multiple legendaries in the battle tower.
Okay.
And is able to do all of that in over her career, which it should be noted, there is like 10 years worth of time apparently in between those two times when we see her, but I do think it's still a very large accomplishment even given that time span.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty cool pick. I don't think I've ever heard of Annabelle before, to be honest.
She's not somebody that you encounter a lot, because you have to either A, be playing a Generation 7 game, which you haven't done, or B, be very good at a Generation 3 game and play it all the way until that point.
Yeah, and not just a Generation 3 game, like a Generation...
Specifically
like
Emerald.
Emerald, specifically, right?
Yes, which right now costs $120.
Exactly, that's the point I was trying to drive.
Yeah.
Man, okay. Well, that adds up. Yeah, but no, that does seem pretty cool.
Yeah, and so she gets into my top 3, or no, not top 3. We're not even to top 3 yet. No.
We're getting there.
Top 4. For going on one of the most prestigious Pokemon journeys, like just as a trainer, and remaining humble about it. She's not like super in your face about like, look how good I am. She's like actually like a fairly honest person. So there's that. Yeah. So what is your number 4?
Okay, so my number 4 might be, I guess, another controversial one. I don't know. I feel like every pick that I have from Gallard is going to be controversial.
I think every pick is going to be controversial because out there, there's someone out there.
Cynthia is the only one that everyone will agree on, except for some people who think she should be higher on the list, and that's it. But anyway, my number 4 pick is going to be Peony. From the, I don't know, the snow expansion. I forget what exactly it's called, but
it is called the Crown Tundra.
The Crown Tundra.
Watch that not even be the name of it. Now you've made me second guess myself.
It's definitely the name of it.
Okay.
No, it's actually the snow expansion, guys. Don't tell them. But yeah, so Peony. I think Peony has a really funny personality. I think he is, like, I don't know, the main reason that I like Peony is that he actually takes advantage of the fact that Sword and Shield is a 3-dimensional game. Like, if every character in Sword and Shield were like Peony, it would be a very well animated game, believe it or not. Because he actually does things, and when he does things, the screen doesn't go black, and it's like, oh man, I am doing the thing. No, it actually happens. You get to, see him being controlled by Calyrex. You get to see him, falling flat on his face when he's tripping over a rock. And, like, the visual gags that Peony has are things that you don't really see in any other game. Like, if Peony were a character in Sinnoh, it wouldn't, well, I mean, I guess they could do it with sprites, but it would have to be in a battle or something. Like, it just wouldn't work.
It just wouldn't. No. With the old Sinnoh sprites, it would not work. And even with the new ones, because they made them chibi, which is another huge controversy somehow, they're just making them look like better versions of what they used to be. I don't know how that's controversial, but anyhow, yeah, it wouldn't have worked until Generation 6.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
And
no, I agree.
and
And so, yeah, I
yeah.
think Peony should be kind of what the standard for,
Hmm.
characters should be going forward
Mm-hmm.
into the new Pokemon games. And I think, yeah, he's genuinely funny. He has a
Yeah.
very funny both encounter theme and battle theme. And I just think they really did a good job making a very strong character.
Yeah, I mean, it's another one where it's like I don't really know because I kind of think that the adult characters should be a little more serious, and
Yeah.
it's like if they were gonna make a character like that, at least make him like not above 20. That's what I
Yeah,
would say.
well,
Is I think that
I
I
don't know.
think
I
that
think it's cool. I think it's
yeah.
cool because he's just a dad. Like
Yeah. I
dads are cringe by nature.
I
Why
I
can't
guess
you be?
maybe that's like a justification or at least an explanation. I wouldn't say it's a justification.
Why? How
Um
is that not a justification?
Now, I said it's an explanation, but I don't think that it's a justification, and I also
Yeah.
don't think that we have time to really go into this right
All
now.
right. Yeah. Yeah. We are running out
Let's
of time
move
here.
on. Let's move on to our top three.
Let's go. I'm
So,
happy with my three.
getting my bronze medal, Professor Oak.
Oh, I was gonna do a drum roll.
Well,
Man,
you're too slow if you
I
wanted to
guess so.
do
So
drum
okay,
roll.
he
Professor
he
Oak.
for sure was named after a tree. I can
That's
tell you
true.
that
He started the tree trend, which is hard to say. And
OG tree.
it seems like he's been able to accomplish a lot of things, research a lot of things in Pokemon in general, and I think that just on the part of it is like on the virtue of being in Generation 1, is able to more generically research Pokemon and get away
Yeah.
with it, whereas now they have to have like specific concentrations. But that's also something that we see in the real world. Like people used to just be straight up scientists, and that was their job, and now they have to specialize in a very specific field.
Oh
So
no, yeah, you're definitely right. Just like
yep,
for every region, it's just like the professor just researches whatever the gimmick of that region is.
yeah, but there wasn't a gimmick in Generation 1 because the
Yeah.
gimmick was existing.
True. Yeah, so he researched existence.
Just Pokemon, and no, he doesn't even research the origin of Pokemon. That's
Well, yeah.
that's someone else. I don't remember who that is, but it's somebody else.
Cynthia.
And and that's something that I feel like is very good. What's interesting is in the Generation 1 games, he was programmed with teams that were even stronger than the champion teams. And they would include, the final stage of whichever starter was left behind, indicating that it was supposed to be a final boss, and then they cut him because they ran out of space, I think.
Dang.
They just couldn't include it.
Yeah.
But you can
Wow,
also
that's cool.
glitch your way into that battle, and it's apparently very difficult. Unless you have like level
Wait.
100s.
So if you can glitch your way into the battle, doesn't that mean it's in the game?
Yes, it isn't. It isn't. It was not removed, but
So then they had enough space.
it's
didn't
also
they?
yeah. I don't know why it wasn't included. Maybe they just couldn't make it work with the story. The story is meant to end when you beat the champions, so they didn't want anything after that. And they did a very good job of not having anything after that in Generation
Let me
1.
tell you.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I do remember you playing through the game and being like, man, there's nothing to do anymore.
That's true. We have talked about post games, and Kanto does not have much in the way of post game.
Yeah, but honestly, that's fine. It's like, considering how big, like, Pokemon Red and Blue were compared to, like, other games on the Game Boy, like, it's actually crazy.
That's
It's
true.
so
There's
big.
there's a lot there, and then if we think about how like Gold and Silver, not Crystal, Gold and Silver can run on the original Game Boy and have even more features and Pokemon added.
Yeah.
they're really jam packed. Like they had to make the Johto region smaller in order to fit all of the maps. That's how full it was. And keep in mind, the first generation cartridges were so full that when they deleted the 300 bytes of error checking code that they used in development, they filled that with Mew. So they completely filled the Generation 1 cartridges, and then the Generation 2 cartridges had even more things.
Wow. Man, that's actually crazy.
Yep. So maybe this is just the time to say, like, be that one person in every game who says technology is incredible, in like the starting town.
Let's go, yeah. Oh man, that's such a fun thing that they did. Just always having a guy that says that.
Yep. And obviously, going back to Professor Oak, it's not so much the case anymore, but as evident from that final battle that was never actually playable, he was a very strong trainer, and it was very strong for a long time. There are even some theories that he was champion until Blue beat him, which I guess might make sense, seeing as we have that battle coded into the games. Well,
I feel like the only reason that that's a thing is because that battle was coded into the game.
It may well be that that's the only reason for that theory. So who is your number 3?
Yeah, well, my number 3, I had to include somewhere in this list because, like, we kind of got the same ace Pokemon, and that's gonna be Red. Just the trainer Red. I think Red is just a really cool guy. He's just known to be, like, kind of down the same line as Leon. He's just, like, so strong. He's the final boss. Once a piece of everyone wants to beat Red. So a cool thing that I really like about Red is kind of what you were saying about Karen. It's about, using skilled trainer is the one that can win using the Pokemon that they like. And so Red's ace Pokemon is just a Pikachu. It's got, like, not very good base stats, strong, not very bulky or anything. Pikachu because he likes Pikachu. And I think that's a really cool thing. And I like Pikachu too, and I use Pikachu because I like Pikachu.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting fact, is that's the highest level trainer owned Pokemon in any game ever. Is his iteration in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because I think they buffed him by a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like level 88.
They want him to be stronger than Barry.
And I think that's interesting.
But no, I'm pretty sure that his Pikachu is like level 81 or something. Like it's actually insane.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I really like, I had to include him somewhere. I think it's really cool how, he might have heard that from Karen, and maybe that's why he's using Pikachu. I don't know. I just think it's cool that he uses a Pikachu. The mascot of Pokemon is the ace Pokemon of the mascot of the Pokemon games. Kind of cool.
I think that is a very, like, symbolically Pokemon character. Like, it, like, if you ask just, like, a random person to, like, name a Pokemon character, they'd probably say Ash Ketchum, and Ash Ketchum is basically the anime version of Red.
Yeah.
Obviously they to be an anime protagonist, he had to, say words. but other than that is pretty much the analog of Red in terms of the anime. So that's definitely a point in his favor.
I guess one more thing I can say about Red is that I think, the fact that he doesn't talk at all I think it's kind of funny because it sort of is like, oh man, like that's what I'm like as the player. I don't talk at all either.
Mm-hmm.
But also I think it kind of makes him even more mysterious, and it kind of turns him into more of a even more of a final boss than he was already, because he's not going to tell you anything. He's not going to he's not going to be relatable enough. Like, he is the enemy, the final enemy that you need to beat.
Yeah, he is what you make of him, and that's definitely something that is unique.
Yeah, he's not going to tell you who he is. You have to figure that out yourself.
That is true. So now we are up to second place. This is very exciting. Before we get to second place, however, I do want to take a brief minute just to mention that I had an honorable mention. I think you had two. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do.
Honorable mentions. Let's just get that out of the way real quick before we do our top two slots each.
Okay.
So, who was your first honorable mention?
My first honorable mention was Steven, and he probably would have made the list. Just like, the only problem with Steven is that he and Cynthia are very, very similar characters. Like, they kind of have the same thing where it's like you don't really know them all that well. They never let on that they're a champion, and they kind of just are with you on every step of the way. But I feel like Cynthia did just a little bit better of being mysterious and complex character. So
yeah, I think that the fact that they got rid of Steven as champion when they went to make Emerald says something about the quality of him as a character. My only honorable mention was Chantal. I think that she does a very good job of being a strong trainer, but I just don't think that she really has what it takes, and obviously a lot more of her intelligence comes from the books that she's written and the books that she's read, not a lot of which are nonfiction. And I think that if you're going to spend that much time reading, you should spend it reading things that are about like informational. I don't know, because I feel like it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. But that's that. So who was your other?
Yeah, so my second one was Dawn. I feel like she was the best. She probably has the best design, in my opinion, of any of the I guess protagonists that you can play as. I don't know, I just think her design is really iconic. It's really cool. And she's also the professor's assistant and has a personality if you're not playing as her.
Okay. And with that out of the way, now we're going to move up to second place. So I'm giving my silver medal of existing to Cynthia, who we've already talked about.
I knew she was going to be somewhere. All right,
yeah, not the least of which because we had sort of pre-planned this, but
maybe you don't have to tell them that though.
May or may not have had the discussion about this before, but well anyhow, I almost forgot to start my timer. I am trying to make sure that this episode stays a reasonable length, which it already isn't. It is what it is. Like you already said, Cynthia goes on a very complex journey as a Pokemon trainer, and just because we don't see all of it doesn't mean that it's very interesting. So we know, of course, that Cynthia started off as just an average trainer, had to work her way up, and has one of the most difficult, and by difficult, of course, I mean well-balanced and well-built teams of all of the champions. And of course the champions are supposed to be the best in their region, and I can really tell that that's not just because she's setting out to be the highest ranked trainer. She's not deliberately going out to do that. She's just going out there to do as well as she can, and she's better than everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, I don't know, and I guess to add to that, like, I feel like she kind of, like, as I was saying before, just kind of takes a position of like someone who's helping you out, someone who knows more than you do throughout the beginning of your journey. So actually going up and beating her as champion, it's just a really cool feeling.
It's definitely really rewarding when, and maybe I should say, if you're able to beat her, because I
There's
feel
no
like
guarantee.
yeah, you will eventually, but it's just a matter of how much grinding do you need to do, or how many items do you need to buy. Which my strategy for the Elite Four and Champions most of the time is just be whatever level I am, and if it's clearly gonna be impossible, if I've managed to get through all the gyms with level 35s, if I'm in a region other than Johto, then obviously yes, I need to do some grinding. But usually I just go in there with whatever levels I have and just buy my way to victory. I've gotten a lot of money by that point, so why not just spend it all? And then if I lose, I don't even lose really that much.
Yeah.
That's generally my strategy, and it generally works.
I mean, I guess after a while it'll work. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like playing the game that way, but each their own.
Yeah, it's more of a by any means necessary, because at that point I'm just ready to like check it off the list and get to the next one.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a very different attitude from like if I had played all those games when they were new, which I didn't.
Yeah,
I've only
you're
played
right.
Generations 7 and 8 when they were current. But back to my point about Cynthia. She gives you a gift Pokemon, and that's also a rarity in and of itself. But for the champion to go out of their way to give you something that will make it easier for you to defeat them, I think is something that really tells me that she's looking out for just a general increase in the ability of Pokemon trainers to succeed as Pokemon trainers. She wants to increase the abilities of everyone, and is simultaneously looking to understand Pokemon mythology and understand where Pokemon come from in the first place. And I think that doing that, having those simultaneous goals, is something that's very good. And also, just throwing in the compassionate champion personality. There are some champions, I feel like they pretty much fall into two categories. They're either like compassionate, and it's like they work their way up to the top, and they stumbled into the role of champion, which is what I also think is usually the protagonist. You're usually sort of stumbling into it. And then there's the other group, which is characters that were determined to become champion and managed to do it. And I would say that I don't have as strong of a sympathy for those characters who are just out there to win.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with that. All right, well, I guess that'll bring us to my number 2 pick. And so, look, I don't know if this is just my Sinnoh bias talking, but I've always really liked Barry. I think Barry is a great character. I think he's a great rival. And I don't know. So there's a lot of things going on with Barry. He's a very reckless young man, I guess you could say. He's always rushing into everything, and it's sort of, you don't really know what his goals are and why he does the things that he does at first. And it's not really revealed into the post game why he's so motivated to become the champion and do all this himself. But it's actually because of the things that his dad says. So his dad is the frontier brain of the battle tower. And so he's a very strong trainer, has a lot of the same mannerisms as Barry. You can tell that Barry got, always rushing into things from his dad. And I think that's so cool that they did that. But so his dad has accomplished all these great things, and he wants to live up to, he wants to do things that his dad did and become as great of a trainer as he is. And he knows he can do that by becoming champion.
Mm-hmm.
And so he works super hard. He's like, I can do this. And he rushes ahead, does everything at his own pace. And finally, he gets together a really good team of strong Pokemon that he believes in. But then you beat him. And you beat him again, and you beat him again, and you beat him again. He's the one thing that you can't beat, and he also wants to become the champion. So,
no, it's the opposite of that. You're the one thing that beats him. I think you said that backwards.
Oh yeah, I said that backward. My bad. But then, towards the end of the story, you're all assigned to go to the lakes and kind of protect the lake trio that's there. And so Barry gets assigned to the lake near Snow Point City, and he has a fight with Commander Jupiter, and he loses. And so before, the only person that could stop him was you, but now he lost again, and he kind of like he takes it really hard, and he's really sad about it, and he's like, gosh, there's no way I'm going to be able to beat the Pokemon League if I can't even, protect Azelf, I think it was. But what happens is he ends up meeting you back on Mount Coronet, and he gets his revenge on Jupiter by doing a double battle with you. And so together with you, he's able to get them back. And so there's one more thing that he needs to do before he becomes champion, and that's beat you. And then he loses again. And so he gives up on his goal to become champion, and he decides that he's going to beat his dad in the battle tower. And then the story stops progressing. So, yeah. And that's the memoir of Barry's life. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.
Okay. I mean, like I said earlier, if you're gonna have an immature character, at least have him, not be a fully grown adult yet. At least Barry isn't an adult. Although, I guess maybe as for his dad, if his dad is still like that, then I'm not such a big fan. Because I like.
No, his dad isn't nearly as crazy as he is at the beginning of the story, but okay, and let me have you know, like, Barry definitely develops as a character throughout the story, and like near the end, like, he's not rushing into things anymore. He actually walks slowly. He stops bumping into you. He stops saying that he's going to find you. And so I don't know, it's just his character develops so much. I think he's such a well-written character, and I love everything that he did, just like everything that they did to show off why he does the things that he does.
I think that it is good that we're able to see that character development, but I'm just gonna have to say, I think my stance is that it's too little too late.
Too little too late? What's that supposed to mean?
And I think that there's all these characters that, like, by the time they're like on screen, they already have a moderate degree of maturity, but but
like
Barry isn't really,
because Barry was immature at the beginning of the story, then that's all that matters.
Well, I think that that like if we're comparing him to the other characters who are in his age groups, that would be protagonists and rivals and young gym leaders, and maybe Iris. um, that that he does start out on the less mature side, and so even if he's growing, even if he's becoming as much more mature as anybody else is, I I don't know, because part of that could be, of course, like a flawed parenting. He's just trying to, you know, be his father's son, and so it's probably not a valid criticism.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but I I would say that, you know, he he doesn't really move up through the ranks. He's sort of a rival, and then we never see him actually become the what's the title of, like a frontier
Champion.
brain. Does
Frontier
he ever actually become frontier brain or achieve any of
Well,
his goals?
you don't know. Like
You don't
it's
know,
kind of like the
right?
story. The
Yeah,
story stops happening. Like it's like every time you talk to him, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be.
right.
I'm. Yeah.
He always has
Well, you might
these
have.
ambitions, but unlike characters like Blue, he never actually fulfills them. He never actually goes all the way to whatever position he's trying to attain.
Yeah.
And I think that that's not really a good role model. Is of a character who doesn't pursue their goals until they happen and just sort of gives up. And
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I guess
he doesn't give up. Like, okay, I'm sorry. We should
it
probably
does not
stop
it
talking.
does not achieve he does not achieve his goals.
Like, he doesn't. He doesn't achieve his goals in the time frame of the plot of the game.
Okay,
But
maybe if they had made a
he
Diamond and
might
Pearl
beat his
2,
dad.
maybe he
I
would
don't
have.
know.
I don't know.
We
I
don't.
don't
I
know.
haven't seen.
It's uncertain. And I
Yeah.
think that that's
Uh,
why I feel uncertain about him.
yeah. All right. Well, what's your number one pick?
So, my number one pick for best Pokemon character is somebody who has. You don't need to do that.
All right, sorry.
It is somebody who has been through a tremendous number of things, and somebody who's going on their journey for the most part while you, the protagonist, are going through yours. It is a character who has been time and time again challenged to defend his ideals and to stand by them.
Oh man, he said
And
ideals.
and he is somebody who has, despite all these challenges, been able to achieve a very high level of competitive Pokemon training and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And this character has gone through all these things and just really run the gambit in terms of different things that he's had to do and different things that he's overcome and different positions that he has attained. He could be considered a champion. He could be considered an evil team leader. He could be considered a rival, and he's been able to be one of the most well written of all of those characters because he's been all of the others. And of course,
Yeah.
I'm talking about N. And I think that N
What a speech.
is the best character in Pokemon because he's so dynamic as a character. He's so strong as a Pokemon trainer, and he's so committed to, at the end of the day, something that, although it's not what you're supposed to believe inside of the Pokemon world, it's
Mhm.
something that I think would be a very common sentiment, and a sentiment that I would hold if Pokemon existed in our world.
Yeah.
And for being brave enough to stand up to what he sees as right, and having the confidence to stand up to Getsus and do all of that. That is why he is, in my eyes, deserving of the award of best Pokemon character.
Man. And I don't think I can add anything to that. There's not really much else to say.
Well, you already said your things.
Oh yeah, no, I did. All right. Well, yeah, and we are running out of time too. So, all right, my number one pick. I think
I'm doing it because you did it.
he is the man, the myth, the boy we've all been talking about, and the boy that Andrew has talked down quite a few times this video, and that's gonna be Blue. I think Blue's a great character. I think Blue is a slightly better rival than Barry is. And I don't know, it's something about the position that rivals have, like in the story, that really makes them into a character with a lot of potential. So Blue is Red's neighbor, just best friend. Well, not best friend. They don't really like each other that much, actually. But throughout the story, they grow closer and closer. And Blue's, talking down of Red goes from hostile to kind of just a friendly competition. And, throughout the entire story, Blue is kind of one step ahead of you. It's the first game that they did the thing with the gyms where it's like,
it's the first game, period.
Like, yeah, Blue is a certified trainer. He already beat the gym leader. He's just doing everything faster than you are. And so where later it's like, oh yeah, Barry's just faster, like physically he's faster than you. Like in this game, it's like, no, Blue's just beating through everyone, just beating over them with just, really strong Pokemon, really strong teams, strong strategies. And, every time you manage to beat him, it's just like, it shows that you're really close, and you might even be just barely ahead of him.
Great to know. And we are out of time.
Yep, we are kind of out of time.
So I would say that he's well written as a character, but I would say that they did a very good job of making an annoying character, and I don't really like it when characters are annoying.
Yeah, he's
as
annoying
I've said earlier.
Throughout the game, and he turned into a very responsible person in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's sort of that, and that's sort of all the time we have, and that is it for season 2. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I'm sorry to sound like Barry, but time's up. Time to go out. Bye.